Your cat spends 70% of their waking hours in the same physical space. That room, that apartment, that house. It is their entire world. While you get to walk outside, drive places, experience novelty and change and stimulation constantly, your cat's entire existence is contained within walls that have the potential to be extraordinary. What happens in those walls, what you choose to create in that space, directly determines the quality of your cat's life. This is not a problem. This is an opportunity. Your home can be a place of endless exploration and discovery. It can have vertical highways that let cats climb and survey their territory. It can have hunting opportunities that engage their predatory instincts. It can have sensory complexity that stimulates their mind and keeps their body active in ways that matter. It can be an environment where cats express their natural behaviors, maintain physical fitness, and experience the kind of daily novelty and challenge that keeps them healthy, engaged, and happy. The research is clear. Environmental enrichment reduces stress, improves health markers, prevents obesity, and extends lifespan. Mental enrichment maintains cognitive function and prevents the anxiety-driven behavioral problems that plague understimulated cats. An enriched home is not a luxury. It is the foundation of feline well-being. The question is not whether your home's design matters. It absolutely does. The question is whether you are going to actively design an environment that supports your cat's needs, or whether you are going to settle for whatever space you happen to have and accept whatever behavior and health outcomes result. You have the power to make your home extraordinary for your cat. And this part explores 10 environmental and enrichment decisions that determine the difference between a constrained space and an enriched one. These decisions include whether to provide outdoor access through Catios and leash training, or to commit to complete indoor living, whether to invest in vertical space or accept floor-level existence, whether to rotate toys and provide interactive play or rely on passive enrichment, whether to create retreat spaces where cats can escape overstimulation or maintain open layouts, and whether to accept the risks of outdoor exploration or create indoor environments that provide the stimulation outdoor exposure offers. The science is clear about what enrichment does. You now get to decide what you are willing to provide. Comparison 1. Indoor only versus Catio versus leash training, adult enrichment. The most fundamental environmental decision facing cat owners is the question of outdoor access, and the answer determines whether your cat experiences the environmental enrichment and stimulation that outdoor exposure provides, or whether your cat remains confined to indoor spaces regardless of how those spaces are designed. The indoor-only approach prioritizes safety by eliminating outdoor risks, including traffic, predators, disease exposure, and the possibility of the cat becoming lost or stolen. The Catio approach provides outdoor sensory experience and environmental enrichment within a contained, secure structure that prevents escape and prevents the cat from hunting wildlife or encountering outdoor hazards. The leash and harness training approach allows supervised outdoor access on the owner's terms, creating outdoor experience that is monitored and controlled, while still providing the stimulation and novelty of outdoor exploration. This comparison examines what each approach offers in terms of enrichment and stimulation, what the practical and safety considerations are for each, what the research shows about outdoor access and indoor enrichment alternatives, and how to choose the approach that matches your specific situation, your cat's temperament, and your willingness to manage the complexities of each option. Let's start with the indoor-only approach and what it provides and what it requires. Complete indoor-only living means the cat has no access to outdoor space, no exposure to outdoor stimulation, and no opportunity to engage in outdoor behaviors, including hunting, climbing outdoor structures, rolling in natural grass, or experiencing the sensory complexity of weather and outdoor environmental changes. The cat's entire life occurs within the confines of the human living space, and enrichment must be provided entirely through the design of that indoor environment. The safety advantages of indoor-only living are substantial and include elimination of traffic risk, elimination of predator risk, including larger animals that prey on cats, elimination of disease exposure through contact with wild animals, elimination of parasite exposure, including feline leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus that occur at higher rates in outdoor cats, and elimination of the risk that the cat will be lost, stolen, or will wander and not return. These are genuine risks that affect outdoor and indoor-outdoor cats regularly, and complete elimination of these risks is a legitimate primary advantage of indoor-only living. The environmental poverty problem is the significant disadvantage of indoor-only living when enrichment is not proactively provided. An apartment or house is a finite static environment where novelty is limited, where opportunities for exploration are constrained to the same spaces repeatedly, where hunting opportunities do not exist, and where physical activity is limited by the space constraints. Cats who live in impoverished indoor environments without enrichment show higher rates of behavioral problems, including destructive behavior, excessive vocalization, obesity, and stress-related conditions compared to cats who have enrichment or outdoor access. The enrichment requirement for indoor-only living is that the owner must actively create an enriching environment through vertical space, interactive toys, window access, environmental complexity, and engaged play. Without this active enrichment commitment, indoor-only living creates boredom and behavioral problems. With comprehensive enrichment, indoor-only cats can be perfectly healthy and behaviorally appropriate. Now let's examine Catio access and what it provides. A catio is an enclosed outdoor structure that provides outdoor sensory experience and environmental access while maintaining complete safety by preventing escape and preventing hunting of wild animals. Catios range from simple window boxes that extend outdoor access through a window screen to elaborate multi-room structures with climbing trees and outdoor furniture, to full screened-in porches that provide extensive outdoor space while remaining completely contained and controlled. The enrichment advantages of Catio access include access to outdoor sights, sounds, and smells, including birds, wind, weather changes, and natural environmental stimulation that cannot be replicated indoors. Cats in catios engage in natural behaviors, including climbing, sunbathing, bird watching, and investigating outdoor activity within safe, contained space. The mental stimulation of Catio access is substantial and measurable through behavioral observation of increased alertness, increased activity, and reduced stress-related problems compared to indoor-only cats. The practical requirements of Catio access include initial construction or purchase costs that ranges from several $100s for simple structures to several $1,000s for elaborate built-in catios. The space requirements depend on the catio design, but typically require outdoor space, including a yard or patio. The maintenance requirements include regular inspection for gaps or damage that could allow escape, seasonal weatherproofing, and cleaning. The safety guarantees of catios are that the cat cannot escape to roam outdoors uncontrolled, cannot hunt wildlife, and is protected from outdoor predators and hazards. The catio provides the enrichment benefits of outdoor access without the risks of uncontrolled outdoor roaming. The limitation of catios is that while they provide substantial enrichment compared to indoor only, they do not provide the same level of exploration and environmental novelty that truly outdoor access does. The cat is still constrained to a defined space and experiences less environmental change than an outdoor cat would. Additionally, catios do not provide ground-level exploration, burrowing opportunities, or full range of outdoor behaviors that free roaming provides. Now let's examine leash and harness training and what it offers. Leash and harness training involves training the cat to accept a harness and leash and then taking the cat on supervised outdoor walks or outdoor exploration time. This approach allows the cat to experience outdoor environment, including walking on natural ground, exploring under vegetation, climbing outdoor structures, and engaging in environmental exploration while remaining under the owner's physical control through the leash. The enrichment advantages of leash training are substantial and include access to genuine outdoor environment with real ground, real plants, real weather, and real stimulation of outdoor exploration. Cats on leashes engage in natural behaviors, including investigating ground-level scents, climbing trees and structures, and exploring their outdoor territory within the constraint of the leash. The mental and physical enrichment is considerable and exceeds what Catios provide because the cat has access to the actual outdoor environment. The training requirements are significant and include habituation to harness wearing, which can take weeks to months depending on the cat's temperament, training to accept leash pressure and to walk on leash without panicking, and desensitization to outdoor stimuli including sounds, traffic, and other animals. Not all cats can be successfully trained to accept harnesses and leashes. Bold, confident cats often adapt relatively quickly, while fearful or resistant cats may never fully accept leash training. The supervision requirements are absolute because the cat is outdoors on a leash under owner control. The owner must be present during all outdoor time, must monitor for escape risks, must watch for threats from other animals, must respond to the cat's stress or fear, and must manage the interaction with outdoor environment. This requires time commitment and active engagement that is more demanding than Catio access, which can be provided with less direct owner involvement. The behavioral considerations include that some cats become frustrated by leash constraints and resist leash walking despite desensitization attempts. Some cats initially resist but eventually accept. Some cats eagerly seek outdoor exploration once trained. The temperament match is important because forcing a resistant cat into leash training creates stress without producing the desired enrichment benefit. The safety advantages and disadvantages of leash training include that the cat remains under owner control, preventing escape and preventing uncontrolled hunting, but the cat is still outdoors, where disease exposure, parasite exposure, and injury risk exist. Traffic risk is minimized because the cat is not roaming freely, but still exists if walking near roadways. Predator risk is minimized because the cat is with the owner, but still exists for very small cats and very large predators. The risk profile is better than free outdoor roaming, but includes more risk than indoor-only or catio living. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Indoor-only living is appropriate when the owner lives in an apartment or urban area where outdoor access is not practical. The owner is willing to commit to comprehensive environmental enrichment. The cat has medical conditions requiring protection from outdoor exposure. The cat is fearful or anxious and outdoor stress is inadvisable. The owner prioritizes safety over outdoor experience. Catio access is appropriate when the owner has outdoor space available for catio construction. The owner can afford the construction or purchase cost. The cat would benefit from outdoor sensory experience. The owner wants outdoor enrichment without training. Demands. The owner wants to provide enrichment without risk of escape or predation. Leash training is appropriate when the owner wants to provide genuine outdoor exploration experience. The cat's temperament is suitable for harness and leash acceptance. The owner has time to provide supervised outdoor exploration regularly. The owner can manage the training process and potential frustration. The owner is willing to accept the modest additional risk that outdoor exposure creates. The enrichment hierarchy based on research shows that unmanaged, impoverished, indoor-only living produces the worst outcomes, including behavioral problems, obesity, and stress-related conditions. Comprehensive indoor enrichment, including vertical space, window access, interactive play, and environmental complexity, produces good outcomes. Catio access adds significant enrichment benefit. Leash training and supervised outdoor exploration provides the most enrichment benefit comparable to outdoor access while maintaining safety control. Free outdoor roaming provides enrichment, but includes substantial safety risks that make it inadvisable for most situations. The verdict, complete indoor-only living, is safe and appropriate when paired with comprehensive environmental enrichment, But without that enrichment commitment, it creates boredom and behavioral problems that degrade quality of life. Catio Access provides substantial enrichment benefit beyond what indoor-only even with enrichment can provide, and is an excellent option for owners with outdoor space and resources to construct or purchase Catios. The Catio balances enrichment with safety in ways that most indoor-only approaches cannot achieve. Leash training and supervised outdoor exploration provides the highest enrichment benefit short of free outdoor roaming and is appropriate for cats whose temperament suits harness and leash acceptance. The training investment and time commitment are substantial, but create enrichment benefit that is measurable and significant. The combination approach using multiple access methods, including some indoor enrichment, some Catio access, and some leash training when possible, provides the most comprehensive enrichment approach. Many owners find that supplementing primary indoor-only living with occasional leash walks or with seasonal Catio access creates excellent balance between safety and enrichment. If you are committed to indoor-only living, invest heavily in environmental enrichment, including vertical space, window access, interactive play, and environmental complexity. The enrichment investment directly determines whether your cat's indoor life is adequate or exceptional. If you have outdoor space and resources, Catio construction provides enrichment benefit that merits the investment. Even simple window box Catios provide measurable behavioral improvement and stress reduction compared to indoor only without Catio access. If your cat's temperament suits leash training and you have time for supervised outdoor exploration, the enrichment benefit is substantial and merits the training effort. Start young if possible. Be patient with the training process and accept that not all cats will successfully adapt to harness and leash despite training efforts. The goal is to match the enrichment approach to your situation and your cat's temperament in ways that maximize enrichment while maintaining safety. Your cat spends 70% of their time in their environment. That environment deserves thoughtful design and active enrichment rather than default acceptance of whatever space happens to be available. Comparison 2. Vertical climbing space versus floor-level living, environmental design. The physical design of a cat's indoor environment determines whether the cat has access to elevated resting and observation spaces that align with feline preferences and natural behaviors, or whether the cat is confined to floor-level living where the entire environment is at one height and where elevated access depends on furniture designed for human use rather than designed for cats. The vertical space approach involves providing dedicated cat furniture, including multi-level cat trees, wall-mounted shelves, window perches, and climbing structures that create vertical environmental complexity and that provide elevated resting spaces specifically designed for cats. The floor-level living approach accepts that the cat will remain at human furniture height or on the ground and does not invest in dedicated vertical cat structures, relying instead on human furniture and floor space for the cat's environment. This comparison examines why cats prefer elevated spaces, what the behavioral and health benefits of vertical access are, what the practical considerations are for providing vertical space in different living situations, how to evaluate whether vertical space is essential or optional, and how to choose environmental design that matches your living situation and your cat's needs. Let's start with why cats prefer elevated spaces and what vertical access provides. Feline preference for elevation is fundamental to cat behavior and stems from evolutionary advantages in wild cat existence, where height provided safety from ground-level predators, provided visual surveillance of territory, provided escape routes from threats, and provided hunting advantages, including the ability to see prey while remaining partially hidden. Even domestic cats who have never faced predators retain these preferences and consistently choose elevated spaces when available, demonstrate increased confidence and reduced anxiety when elevated spaces are provided, and show signs of stress or anxiety when forced to remain at floor level without access to elevation. The surveillance advantage of elevated spaces is that cats can observe their territory and their household from height, can monitor activity in multiple rooms simultaneously from multi-level structures, and can watch human activity and animal activity around the home without being at ground level, where they feel exposed. Cats in homes with adequate vertical space show more confident behavior and less hiding, because the elevated spaces provide security from which they can observe without being observed. The escape route benefit of vertical spaces is that elevated structures provide immediate access to high places where the cat can retreat if frightened, can escape confrontation with other cats or humans, and can remove themselves from stressful situations. Cats without vertical access options during stress may resort to hiding under furniture or in closets, because those are the only escape routes available, while cats with vertical spaces gravitate to elevated refuge when stressed. The predatory advantage of height is that cats can hunt more effectively from elevated positions, can ambush prey animals from above, and can move between levels in pursuit of prey or play activity. Cats with vertical access engage in more hunting play and more active behavior than cats without vertical options, suggesting that the environmental structure supports natural predatory behavior. The enrichment benefit of vertical space includes the physical activity required to climb and navigate multi-level structures, the cognitive engagement of navigating complex three-dimensional space, the environmental novelty of experiencing the home from different heights and perspectives, and the psychological security of having escape routes and observation points. Cats with vertical space show higher activity levels, more complex movement patterns, and fewer stress-related behavioral problems compared to floor-level only cats. Now let's examine the practical considerations of providing vertical space. Cat tree and shelf options range from simple single-level perches to elaborate multi-level structures with multiple climbing surfaces, hiding areas, scratching posts, and hanging toys. Options include freestanding cat trees, which provide vertical access but require floor space and stability, wall-mounted shelves, which provide vertical access without consuming floor space but require wall-mounting capability, window perches, which provide elevation plus visual access to outdoor activity, and furniture combinations that integrate vertical elements with human living spaces. Space requirements vary depending on the type of vertical structure. Freestanding cat trees require floor space, ranging from a few square feet for small trees to substantial space for elaborate multi-level structures. Wall-mounted shelves require wall space and mounting capability, but do not consume floor space. Window perches require window space. The space requirement is a practical constraint in small living spaces that may limit vertical structure options. Installation and stability considerations include that freestanding cat trees must be stable enough to support the cat's weight and movement without tipping. Wall-mounted shelves must be securely fastened to wall studs to support the cat's jumping and landing impact, and all structures must be designed for the specific cat's weight and size. Unstable structures create safety risks and may prevent cats from using the structures if they perceive instability. Maintenance requirements include regular inspection for damage, cleaning of surfaces and covering materials, and replacement of worn elements including scratching surfaces and cushioning. Cats with vertical structures that are well maintained use them consistently, while structures that become worn or damaged may be abandoned because the cat no longer finds them attractive or safe. Cost considerations range from minimal for simple wall-mounted shelves or window perches to substantial for elaborate multi-level cat trees or custom-built shelf systems. The budget available affects what options are practical, though basic vertical access can be provided at relatively low cost through simple wall shelves or budget cat trees. Now let's examine floor-level living and what it involves. Floor-level only environment means the cat's life occurs entirely at ground level or at the height of human furniture, with no dedicated elevated cat structures and no access to spaces higher than standard furniture height. In these environments, cats may jump on human furniture, including beds, couches, and bookcases, but they do not have access to dedicated cat climbing structures or wall-mounted elevated spaces. The space advantage of floor-level living is that it does not require dedicated space for cat furniture and structures. In small apartments or homes where space is limited, avoiding bulky cat trees preserves living space for human use. The behavioral disadvantages of floor-level living include that cats without vertical access may show increased anxiety because they lack the security of elevated refuge, may engage in more destructive behavior, including jumping on forbidden furniture because they are seeking elevation that is not provided in designated cat structures, may show reduced activity levels because they lack the physical challenge of climbing and navigating vertical structures, and may display stress-related behavioral problems including inappropriate elimination or aggression because they lack the escape routes and observation points that elevation provides. The human furniture compromise occurs when cats without dedicated vertical structures substitute human furniture for the elevation they naturally seek. Cats jump on counters, tables, bookshelves, beds, and couches, seeking the elevation and surveillance that vertical cat structures would provide. Owners then must train cats off these human furniture spaces or accept furniture damage from climbing and jumping, creating ongoing conflict between cat natural preferences and human boundaries. Let's address the specific situations where each approach is appropriate. Vertical space is essential when the cat is young and active with high climbing drive. The home has multiple cats creating territory competition. Vertical space reduces conflicts. The cat shows anxiety or fear-based behaviors. Vertical refuge reduces stress. The space is available and the budget allows. The cat has shown preference for jumping and climbing on human furniture. Vertical space is less critical when the cat is elderly or has mobility limitations. Climbing becomes painful. The space is extremely limited. Apartment without wall-mounting options. The cat shows no interest in climbing, despite vertical options being provided. The cat is naturally floor-oriented in preference. The budget does not allow for cat furniture. Investment. Floor-level living is acceptable when adequate human furniture provides some elevation options. The cat shows no anxiety or stress-related problems. The cat's activity level is maintained through other means, interactive play, outdoor access. Space constraints make vertical structures impossible. Budget limitations prevent cat furniture investment. The behavioral observation approach suggests that the best way to determine whether your specific cat needs vertical space is to observe their behavior. If the cat actively seeks elevation by jumping on human furniture, seeks high places to rest, or shows anxiety at floor level, vertical space is important. If the cat naturally prefers floor-level activity and shows no interest in elevation, vertical space may be less critical. The vertical climbing space significantly improves enrichment, reduces anxiety, provides exercise opportunity, and supports natural feline behaviors, including hunting, surveillance, and escape. For most cats, adequate vertical access creates measurable behavioral and health benefits. Floor-level only living is workable for cats who show no climbing preference and who maintain health and behavior without elevation. But most cats show preference for vertical access and benefit measurably from its provision. The practical compromise involves providing whatever vertical access is possible within space and budget constraints rather than rejecting all vertical structures because elaborate systems are not affordable. Simple wall shelves, basic window perches, or budget cat trees provide meaningful enrichment benefit even if they do not match elaborate multi-level structures. For young, active, anxious, or multi-cat households, vertical space investment is high-value enrichment that merits the cost and space allocation. The behavioral improvement from providing adequate vertical access is often dramatic in cats who previously lacked elevation options. For elderly cats or cats with mobility limitations, vertical space can become problematic if the cat lacks the strength or agility to safely navigate high structures. In these cases, providing low-level elevated options or accepting floor-level living is more appropriate than pushing climbing on structures the cat cannot safely use. If your cat shows preference for human furniture, including beds, couches, bookshelves, or counters, this is often a signal that they are seeking the elevation that dedicated cat structures would provide. Rather than training them off human furniture while denying them elevation, provide vertical structures specifically for cats and then train them to use appropriate structures instead of human furniture. The vertical access decision should be based on your living situation, your cat's age and ability, your budget and space constraints, and most importantly, on observing whether your specific cat demonstrates climbing preference and seeks elevation. When vertical access is provided and actively used, the enrichment benefit is substantial and measurable. When it is absent or when cats lack interest in it, floor-level living is acceptable without creating welfare problems. Environmental design that includes adequate vertical space creates opportunities for more active, more confident, more behaviorally appropriate cats. When you can provide it, it is worth providing. Comparison 3. Enrichment-heavy environment versus minimal setup. Personality match. The amount of environmental enrichment provided to indoor cats varies dramatically between households, with some owners creating elaborate, complex environments filled with multiple levels, numerous toys, interactive elements, puzzle feeders, window access, and constant sensory stimulation, while other owners maintain minimal setups with basic furniture and few dedicated enrichment elements. The enrichment-heavy approach operates on the principle that more enrichment is always better, that cats benefit from constant stimulation and complexity, and that investment in rich environments prevents boredom and behavioral problems. The minimal setup approach argues that excessive enrichment creates overstimulation, that many cats are satisfied with basic living spaces, that minimal environments are easier to maintain, and that enrichment intensity should match individual cat personality rather than imposing elaborate environments on all cats, regardless of temperament. This comparison examines what enrichment-heavy and minimal environments actually look like, what the behavioral and health outcomes are from each approach, what personality types benefit from intensive enrichment versus minimal environments, how to match enrichment level to your specific cat rather than adopting a universal approach, and how to recognize when enrichment is insufficient versus when it is excessive for your individual cat. Let's start with enrichment-heavy environments and what they provide. Enrichment-heavy environments include multiple dedicated cat spaces, including cat trees with multiple levels, wall-mounted shelves creating vertical pathways, window perches at various heights, multiple scratching posts distributed throughout the home, interactive toys including wand toys and puzzle feeders, rotating toy collections to maintain novelty, bird feeders outside windows, background stimulation including cat TV or bird videos during owner absence, automated play devices, and consistent owner engagement through interactive play sessions. The space is designed deliberately with the cat's enrichment needs in priority, with human aesthetic concerns secondary to providing complex, stimulating environment. The behavioral benefits of enrichment-heavy environments include that cats engage in more complex movement patterns, including climbing, jumping, and navigating multi-level spaces, show higher overall activity levels and better physical fitness, engage in more play behavior and predatory expression through interactive toys, show reduced stereotypic and stress-related behaviors, including destructive scratching and excessive vocalization, demonstrate better problem-solving engagement with puzzle feeders and cognitive enrichment, and show signs of greater confidence and reduced anxiety from the complex, engaging environment. The cognitive benefits of enrichment-heavy environments include that the complex environment provides constant mental stimulation that maintains cognitive function. Rotating toys and changing elements create novelty that keeps the environment interesting rather than stale. Puzzle feeders and problem-solving elements engage the brain in ways that passive environments cannot, and the variety of spaces and activities prevents the boredom that contributes to behavioral problems and cognitive decline in aging cats. The practical challenges of enrichment-heavy environments include that they require significant initial investment in furniture and toys, require ongoing maintenance and cleaning of multiple elements, require toy rotation and novelty management to maintain effectiveness, require space allocation that may conflict with human living preferences, and require active owner engagement, including interactive play sessions, which many owners struggle to maintain consistently. The overstimulation risk exists for cats with anxiety, sensory sensitivity, or naturally cautious temperament, where excessive environmental complexity and constant stimulation create overwhelm rather than engagement. Some cats with anxiety actually become more stressed in highly enriched environments and show better behavior in simpler spaces where there are fewer stimuli to process. The novelty maintenance challenge is that environments that remain static eventually lose enrichment value because the cat becomes habituated to all elements. To maintain enrichment benefit in complex environments, toys must be rotated, new elements must be introduced, and the environment must change regularly. Many owners begin with elaborate, enrichment-heavy setups, but then fail to maintain the novelty, resulting in an expensive static environment that provides less enrichment value than it initially did. Now let's examine minimal setups and what they provide. Minimal setup environments include basic human furniture, simple cat furniture if any, few dedicated enrichment elements, reliance on passive toys, limited window access, and minimal active owner engagement beyond basic feeding and care. The environment is simple, easy to maintain, clean, and aesthetically uncluttered, with enrichment intentionally limited to prevent overstimulation or to reduce owner effort requirements. The practical advantages of minimal environments include that they require minimal initial investment, minimal ongoing maintenance and cleaning, no need for toy rotation or novelty management, no space allocation to cat furniture consuming living space, and minimal time commitment for owner engagement beyond basic care. The lifestyle match for minimal setups includes owners who work long hours and cannot maintain interactive enrichment, owners in very small living spaces where elaborate cat furniture is impossible, owners who have low tolerance for animal-related clutter or visual chaos in their living space, and owners who have limited budget for animal care beyond necessities. The behavioral risks of minimal environments include that cats without adequate enrichment may develop behavioral problems, including destructive scratching and inappropriate elimination, may show signs of anxiety or stress from boredom, may show reduced activity levels and associated obesity from lack of physical enrichment, and may show cognitive decline and reduced problem-solving engagement from lack of mental stimulation. The personality match consideration is critical because some cats are naturally content in minimal environments and show no behavioral or health problems with simple setups, while other cats in identical minimal environments show anxiety, destructive behavior, or obesity. The cat's individual temperament and enrichment needs are not standardized, and minimal setups work for some cats but not others. Let's address the personality factors that determine enrichment needs. High enrichment cats include young cats with high activity drive and natural curiosity, confident, bold cats who actively explore and investigate their environment, multi-cat households where cats use enrichment elements for territory management and activity diversion, anxious cats who use enrichment to self-soothe and self-regulate, and predatory drive cats who need outlets for hunting behavior through interactive toys and environmental hunting opportunities. Low enrichment cats include elderly cats whose activity level is naturally reduced and whose physical capabilities may be compromised, shy, or fearful cats who find excessive stimulation overwhelming, naturally sedentary cats who show little interest in climbing or complex play, single cats in peaceful households without territorial stress, and cats with medical conditions limiting their activity level. The observation-based approach to determining enrichment needs involves monitoring the cat's actual behavior in current environment and adjusting enrichment based on behavioral outcomes rather than following fixed guidelines. A cat showing destructive behavior, excessive vocalization, obesity, or stress-related problems in a minimal environment likely needs more enrichment. A cat showing anxiety, Hiding or stress-related problems in an enrichment-heavy environment likely needs less. The balance approach that matches enrichment to individual cat involves providing a baseline of basic vertical space, basic scratching options, window access, and minimal interactive play, then adding enrichment elements based on the cat's behavioral responses. This avoids both deprivation and overstimulation by tailoring the environment to the specific cat's needs rather than imposing a standard approach. Let's address the practical balance between enrichment-heavy and minimal setups. Moderate enrichment that balances benefits and practicality includes 1 or 2 multi-level cat trees or wall shelf systems, multiple scratching posts at locations where the cat gravitates, window perches for visual stimulation, basic toy collection with periodic rotation rather than elaborate systems, regular interactive play sessions without requiring hours daily, and acceptance that the environment will reflect the cat's presence while still maintaining reasonable human living space. Minimal with strategic additions includes basic living space with few dedicated cat elements, but targeted enrichment based on observed cat needs, such as adding a simple cat tree if the cat shows climbing interest, adding scratching posts if destructive scratching appears, or adding window perches if the cat shows interest in outdoor watching. Enrichment heavy with boundaries includes elaborate enrichment elements, but designated to specific areas rather than dispersing throughout the home, allowing owners to maintain some aesthetic control while providing enrichment benefits. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Enrichment-heavy environments are appropriate when the cat is young, active, and demonstrably benefits from complex stimulation. The owner has time and budget for maintenance and novelty management. The cat shows signs of boredom or behavioral problems in minimal environments. The household has multiple cats requiring territory management through vertical space and enrichment. The owner's aesthetic tolerance for animal-related clutter is high. The cat's medical status permits high activity levels. Minimal setups are appropriate when the cat is elderly, sedentary, or has mobility limitations. The owner has limited time for interactive enrichment and toy rotation. The living space is very small with no room for elaborate cat furniture. The cat shows signs of stress or anxiety in highly stimulated environments. The owner's budget is limited to basic care costs. The cat demonstrates contentment and appropriate behavior in simple environments. The personality matching approach is most effective, involving assessment of your specific cat's age, activity level, anxiety level, and behavioral baseline, then providing enrichment level that appears to optimize that specific cat's behavior and well-being rather than following a universal rule. The verdict: enrichment-heavy environments provide measurable behavioral and cognitive benefits for cats who demonstrate high activity drive, high curiosity, and positive response to complex stimulation, but require significant owner time and effort for maintenance and novelty management. Minimal setups are acceptable and sometimes preferable for cats who show contentment in simple environments and who do not demonstrate behavioral problems from lack of enrichment and are practical for owners with limited time, space, or budget. The optimal approach for most cats and most owners is moderate enrichment that provides baseline vertical space, scratching options, window access, and interactive play without requiring elaborate systems or extensive owner time commitment. Never assume that more enrichment is automatically better. Some cats genuinely prefer simpler environments and become stressed by excessive complexity. Observe your specific cat's behavioral responses to enrichment and adjust accordingly, rather than imposing a predetermined enrichment level. If your cat shows behavioral problems, including destructive scratching, excessive vocalization, or aggression in a minimal environment, add enrichment elements specifically addressing those problems rather than creating wholesale elaborate environments. Targeted enrichment often addresses specific problems more effectively than general environmental complexity. If your cat shows anxiety, stress, or avoidance in an enrichment-heavy environment, remove elements and simplify the space. Overstimulation is a genuine problem for sensitive cats, and less is sometimes genuinely better. The enrichment decision should be based on your cat's individual needs, your available time and budget, your space constraints, and most importantly, on observing whether your specific cat thrives or struggles in the current environment. Enrichment is an investment in your cat's quality of life, but it is not a one-size-fits-all prescription. Match enrichment to your cat and your circumstances rather than following external guidelines about what environments should look like. Comparison 4. Solo cat versus multi-cat household. Environmental needs. The environmental requirements for a single cat differ substantially from the environmental requirements for multiple cats sharing the same space, and the decision about whether to maintain a solo cat household or to add additional cats determines what kind of environmental design is necessary, what level of resource management is required, what conflicts may arise, and what enrichment strategies are most effective. The solo cat approach provides simplified environmental management, concentrated owner attention, and elimination of inter-cat conflict and territorial stress. The multi-cat approach provides companionship benefits, environmental complexity that may support enrichment, but requires deliberate environmental management to prevent conflict and to ensure that all cats' needs are met adequately. This comparison examines what the environmental differences between solo and multi-cat households actually are, what the practical management differences involve, how to evaluate whether adding cats to a solo cat household is appropriate, how to design environments that support multiple cats effectively, and how to recognize when multi-cat living is not working and when cats would be better served by separation. Let's start with solo cat households and what they provide. Solo cat living means one cat occupies the household territory without competition from other cats. The environment can be designed entirely around that single cat's preferences. Resources do not need to be distributed or duplicated. The owner's attention and interaction are not divided among multiple cats, and conflict risk from inter-cat tension is eliminated. The simplicity advantage of solo cat living is that environmental management is straightforward. One litter box can be sufficient if well maintained. One food bowl serves the household, one water station is adequate, and enrichment elements can be distributed throughout the home without concern for territorial markers or conflict. The owner does not need to create separate spaces or manage resource distribution complexity. The owner attention concentration in solo households means the owner's interactive enrichment, playtime, and social engagement are directed entirely toward one cat. For cats who strongly prefer direct owner interaction and individual attention, this concentrated focus can provide enrichment and bonding that is difficult to achieve in multi-cat households where attention is divided. The behavioral simplicity of solo cats includes that conflict-driven behavioral problems do not occur because there are no conflicts with other cats. Territorial aggression, bullying, resource guarding, and stress-related problems that arise from inter-cat tension are not issues in solo households. This results in simpler, more predictable cat behavior. The care simplicity extends to medical management because there is only one cat's health to monitor, only one cat's medications if needed, and only one cat's litter box patterns to observe for health changes. In multi-cat households, identifying which cat has a medical problem requires careful observation and litter box management. The limitation of solo cat households is that the single cat receives enrichment entirely from the owner's provision and the environment's complexity. If the owner fails to provide interactive enrichment, or if the environment is impoverished, the solo cat has no other cat to interact with and no companionship to buffer against owner absence or boredom. Some solo cats show anxiety when alone for extended periods, and owner engagement becomes essential rather than supplementary. Now let's examine multi-cat households and what they require. Multi-cat living means multiple cats share the same household territory and must coexist with appropriate management to prevent conflict, with resource distribution to ensure all cats have access to necessities, and with environmental design that supports multiple cats' needs simultaneously. The number of cats affects complexity substantially. with 2 cats being notably easier to manage than 3 or more. The companionship benefit of multi-cat households is that cats can interact with each other, play together, provide social stimulation to each other, and groom each other, reducing dependence on owner interaction for enrichment and companionship. Bonded cats show lower stress and anxiety when owners are absent because they have feline companionship. Some cats show measurably better well-being when living with compatible companions. The conflict risk is the primary disadvantage of multi-cat living because not all cats are compatible, and forcing incompatible cats to share territory creates chronic stress and behavioral problems. Territorial aggression, blocking of resources, bullying, and stress-related illness occur when cats are incompatible or when the environment does not support appropriate territorial separation. The resource management requirement is critical and includes that the general rule is 1 litter box per cat plus 1 extra, meaning a 3-cat household ideally has 4 litter boxes. Multiple food bowls may be necessary if cats compete or guard food. Multiple water sources at different locations support hydration better than single sources. Vertical space and hiding areas must be multiplied to provide territory subdivision and escape routes for all cats. The environmental complexity necessity includes that multi-cat households require more sophisticated environmental design than solo households. Vertical space becomes essential for territory division and for cats to escape ground-level conflicts. Multiple hiding areas and retreat spaces become critical so that cats can separate when stress is high. Window access and enrichment elements need distribution throughout the space rather than concentration in a few areas because multiple cats occupying limited space creates competition for preferred enrichment locations. The integration challenge in multi-cat households is substantial when adding new cats to existing cats. Proper integration requires weeks to months of gradual introduction, separate spaces initially, scent swapping, supervised interaction, and patience with the process. Rushed integration or incompatibility that is not recognized early can create lasting problems. The behavioral observation requirement is that owners of multiple cats must constantly monitor for signs of conflict, including blocking of litter boxes or food areas, excessive hiding by one cat, aggression or stress-related problems. Early recognition of incompatibility or conflict allows intervention before the situation deteriorates into serious behavioral or medical problems. Let's address the environmental design differences between solo and multi-cat households. Solo cat environmental design can prioritize central enrichment placement, concentrated vertical structures in high-traffic areas, centralized litter box location acceptable if well-maintained, and owner-directed interactive enrichment. Multi-cat environmental design must include distributed litter boxes in different areas, reducing competition and territorial guarding, distributed water sources at multiple locations, vertical space distributed throughout the home rather than concentrated in one area, multiple hiding areas and retreat spaces providing escape routes, enrichment elements distributed widely so multiple cats can access simultaneously, and territorial markers including scent-rubbing areas clearly separated by cat. The litter box principle in multi-cat homes cannot be overstated. Cats in conflict or with territorial stress often mark litter territory and prevent other cats from accessing boxes. Multiple boxes at different locations reduce these conflicts substantially. Even if cats do not actively conflict, multiple boxes reduce stress from queuing and from territorial guarding. The vertical space principle in multi-cat homes extends beyond enrichment to conflict management. Cats can escape ground-level conflicts by retreating to elevated spaces, multi-level structures that allow multiple cats simultaneous access to different heights reduce conflict more effectively than structures where only one cat can occupy at a time. The hidden space principle includes that cats need private spaces where they can retreat without encountering other cats. Closed spaces, boxes, closets, and enclosed vertical areas provide this refuge. Multi-cat households should have more hiding spaces than the number of cats, so that even during stress, every cat has access to private space. Let's examine when solo versus multi-cat living is appropriate. Solo cat households are appropriate when the household circumstances support single cat ownership well. The existing cat is not compatible with other cats as demonstrated by introduction. Attempts. The owner has limited time and managing multiple cats is not practical. The living space is limited, and multiple cats would create excessive territorial stress. The cat shows behavioral or medical problems that improve when solo. Multi-cat households are appropriate when the existing cat demonstrates compatibility and positive interaction with introduced cats. The owner has adequate space, time, and resources for multi-cat management. The home has sufficient environmental complexity to support multiple cats. The owner has committed to proper integration protocols and timeline. The household benefits from feline companionship for the cat's well-being. The trial introduction approach to evaluating compatibility involves deliberately introducing two potentially compatible cats under controlled conditions with ability to separate if conflict arises, observing their interaction for genuine compatibility rather than mere tolerance, and making the decision about permanent multi-cat living based on demonstrated positive interaction rather than assuming cats will become compatible over time. The addition consideration involves recognizing that adding cats to established cats creates stress and change, and that benefits of companionship may not justify the disruption and conflict risk for established solo cats who are thriving in their current situation. Not all cats benefit from companionship, and some cats are genuinely better off solo. The verdict: solo cat households provide environmental simplicity, concentrated owner attention, and elimination of inter-cat conflict, and are appropriate when the single cat thrives in that arrangement or when available resources do not support multi-cat management. Multi-cat households provide feline companionship and can reduce stress and enrichment demands on owners, but require substantially more complex environmental management, careful integration, ongoing conflict monitoring, and sufficient resources to support all cats adequately. The decision should be based on the specific cat's demonstrated compatibility with other cats, not on assumptions that all cats benefit from feline companionship. Some cats are genuinely better off solo. If you maintain a solo cat household, recognize that your cat's enrichment depends primarily on your provision and on the environment you create. Interactive play, window access, and environmental complexity become your responsibility rather than being supplemented by feline interaction. If you maintain or are considering a multi-cat household, invest in environmental complexity, including distributed vertical space, multiple litter boxes and resources, hidden areas, and territorial subdivision. The environment's quality directly determines whether multiple cats coexist peacefully or experience chronic stress. If you are adding a cat to an existing solo cat, follow proper integration protocols taking weeks to months rather than forcing immediate cohabitation. Allow separation during integration to prevent trauma and escalating conflict. Accept that some cats are incompatible and that no amount of integration protocol can force compatibility when cats do not suit each other temperamentally. If you have multiple cats showing conflict despite environmental management, consider whether they would be happier separated. Some cats are simply incompatible, and separation may be the kindest option even if it complicates your household management. The number of cats in your household should be based on available resources, compatibility demonstrated through careful introduction, and realistic assessment of whether your environment can support the cats adequately. More cats is not automatically better if it means environmental stress, resource competition, or chronic conflict. Comparison 5. Scheduled play sessions versus free play access, engagement and exercise. The approach to providing physical activity and mental engagement for indoor cats varies between owners who commit to dedicated scheduled play sessions, where the owner actively engages the cat in interactive play at specific times during the day, and owners who provide toys and enrichment elements that cats can access freely and independently throughout the day without requiring direct owner participation. The scheduled play approach concentrates owner engagement and guarantees regular interactive activity that keeps the cat physically active and mentally engaged. The free play access approach requires minimal owner time commitment beyond initial toy provision and allows cats to self-regulate their activity level and play timing. This comparison examines what scheduled play sessions provide, what free play access alone provides, what the activity level and behavioral outcomes are from each approach, what personality types require scheduled play versus those who maintain adequate activity independently, and how to balance owner time availability with cat enrichment needs. Let's start with scheduled play sessions and what they provide. Scheduled play sessions involve the owner setting aside dedicated time, typically 10 to 30 minutes at specific times during the day, to actively engage the cat in interactive play using toys that require owner participation, including wand toys with feathers or strings, laser pointers with movement patterns, interactive toys that the owner moves to create prey-like motion, and play activities that stimulate the cat's predatory behavior. The predatory engagement benefit of scheduled play is that interactive toys with motion controlled by the owner create more realistic prey-like movement than static toys, triggering the cat's hunting instincts more effectively than passive toys do. Cats engaged in owner-directed interactive play show higher intensity predatory behavior, including stalking, pouncing, and prey capture attempts, with greater physical exertion than they typically expend in independent play. The physical activity level achieved through scheduled play is measurably higher during the play session than cats maintain during independent play. The intensity and duration of play during owner-directed sessions produces greater cardiovascular activity, more rapid movement, and greater energy expenditure than most independent play generates, contributing to better physical fitness and weight management. The bonding benefit of scheduled play sessions includes that the owner-cat interaction during focused playtime strengthens the bond between cat and owner, provides concentrated attention and interaction that cats perceive as valuation and care, and creates positive associations with the owner as the source of fun and enrichment. Cats who receive regular interactive play often show stronger attachment to owners and more enthusiastic greeting behaviors. The predictability advantage of scheduled play is that cats learn the timing of play sessions and begin to anticipate them, showing increased activity and engagement as playtime approaches. This predictability creates structured rhythm in the cat's day, providing something to look forward to and organizing daily activity around anticipated play sessions. The training opportunity during scheduled play includes that owner-directed play provides opportunities to teach appropriate play behaviors, redirect play aggression toward toys instead of hands, and shape predatory behavior into appropriate outlets. Cats learn during play that biting hands ends play, while biting toys allows play to continue, creating discrimination between appropriate and inappropriate play targets. The consistency requirement of scheduled play is that benefits accrue only with consistent implementation. Play sessions must occur regularly on predictable schedule to provide the activity level and bonding benefits. Sporadic or inconsistent play provides minimal benefit and creates frustration when cats expect play that does not arrive. The owner time commitment is substantial, requiring daily 10 to 30-minute sessions, consistency across weeks and months, and sustained engagement through actual play rather than passive toy provision. Many owners underestimate the time commitment and fail to maintain consistent schedules. Now let's examine free play access and what it provides. Free play access means providing toys and enrichment elements that cats can access and interact with independently throughout the day without requiring owner participation. This includes passive toys, including small mice, balls, crinkle toys, catnip toys, and puzzle toys, as well as enrichment elements including vertical structures to climb, scratching posts to engage, and window access for observation play. The activity freedom benefit of free play is that cats engage in play when they are motivated rather than only at scheduled times. Some cats initiate play multiple times throughout the day. Some cats show consistent play patterns, while others play sporadically, but all cats have the option to play at their own initiative and timing. The owner time requirement of free play is minimal beyond initial toy provision and occasional toy rotation or refreshing. Cats do not require owner participation, making this approach practical for busy owners or for situations where owner time for interactive play is limited. The self-regulation advantage of free play is that cats engage with toys when they want and disengage when they lose interest, self-regulating their activity level without owner pressure to play longer or more intensely. This suits cats who prefer independent play or who have low tolerance for owner-directed, structured activity. The activity level limitation is that independent play typically produces lower intensity and shorter duration activity than owner-directed interactive play. Cats engaging alone with passive toys rarely achieve the same physical exertion or predatory intensity that interactive play with an owner provides. This can contribute to insufficient activity levels and associated weight management problems. The enrichment adequacy of free play varies substantially depending on the quality and variety of toys provided. Toys that genuinely engage the cat's predatory behavior and mental engagement provide meaningful enrichment, while toys that fail to interest the cat provide no enrichment benefit regardless of quantity. The novelty challenge with free play is that static toy collections lose interest value relatively quickly. Cats habituate to toys and stop engaging with them after the novelty period. Maintaining enrichment value requires rotating toys regularly to maintain the perception of novelty, which requires owner effort and planning, even though the play itself does not require direct owner participation. Let's address the personality factors that determine whether scheduled play or free play is more appropriate. Cats who benefit from scheduled play include young, active cats with high play drive, requiring regular intense activity. Cats showing excessive energy and behavioral problems from insufficient activity. Cats with strong bonding drives who seek owner interaction. Cats living indoors without other environmental enrichment options. Cats who initiate play with owners and seek interactive engagement. Overweight cats, requiring structured exercise programs for weight management. Cats who thrive with free play access include elderly cats whose natural activity level is reduced, cats with low play drive or minimal interest in toys, multi-cat households where feline play partners provide interaction, cats with highly enriched environments, providing adequate independent stimulation, cats who show stress or overwhelm with intense, owner-directed activity, cats with established preferences for solitary play over owner interaction. The observation-based approach to determining individual cat needs involves monitoring the cat's spontaneous activity level and weight status in current setup, assessing whether current activity and weight are appropriate, and adjusting play strategy based on behavioral outcomes rather than following a predetermined formula. The activity assessment includes assessing whether the cat maintains appropriate weight, shows active play behavior multiple times daily, engages in climbing and movement throughout the home, and appears content and alert. Cats meeting these criteria may have adequate activity through free play alone. Cats showing weight gain, minimal play, and sedentary behavior likely need more activity, including scheduled interactive play. Let's examine the balance between scheduled play and free play access. Combined approach that maximizes benefits includes providing free play access through enriched environment with toys, vertical space, and enrichment elements that allow independent activity, supplemented by regular scheduled play sessions that provide interactive engagement and higher intensity activity. This approach provides both the owner engagement benefits of scheduled play and the autonomy benefits of free play access. Schedule frequency recommendations based on research suggest that most cats benefit from 10 to 30-minute interactive play sessions, at least once daily, with twice-daily sessions optimal for young, active cats or cats with high play drive. Cats showing resistance to play or lacking interest may require less frequent or shorter sessions. Toy quality consideration is that high-quality interactive toys that engage the cat's predatory behaviors produce better outcomes than cheap toys that fail to stimulate interest. Investing in good toys that your specific cat actually engages with is more effective than accumulating many toys that the cat ignores. The consistency principle is critical because sporadic play sessions produce minimal benefit. Better to maintain regular, modest commitment of 10 minutes daily than irregular intensive sessions that cannot be sustained. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Scheduled play approach is appropriate when the cat is young and active, requiring high activity levels. The cat shows behavioral problems from insufficient stimulation. The owner has time availability for regular sessions. Weight management through exercise is needed. The cat shows strong bonding drive and seeks owner interaction. The environment lacks sufficient independent enrichment. Free play approach is appropriate when the cat's independent activity level maintains appropriate weight and fitness. The owner has limited time for interactive engagement. The cat shows low play drive or lacks interest in owner-directed play. The environment provides adequate independent enrichment. The cat is elderly or has physical limitations, reducing activity tolerance. The cat demonstrates stress or overwhelm with intense owner direction. The verdict, scheduled interactive play sessions provide superior activity levels, stronger owner bonding, and better weight management outcomes compared to free play access alone, but require consistent owner time commitment. Free play access provides adequate enrichment and activity for some cats while requiring minimal owner time commitment, but may produce insufficient activity levels and weight management problems if not supplemented with periodic interactive play. For most cats, the optimal approach combines modest scheduled play of 10 to 20 minutes daily with free play access through an enriched environment. This balance provides activity benefits of scheduled play with the autonomy benefits of free play access, while matching owner time availability to realistic commitment levels. Never assume that providing toys means your cat gets adequate play. Many cats ignore static toys, and passive toy collections alone produce insufficient activity for young or active cats. Scheduled interactive play supplements, free play access rather than replacing it. For weight management in overweight cats, scheduled interactive play becomes more important. The activity levels that free play alone provides may be insufficient to support weight loss or weight maintenance. Adding structured play sessions becomes essential for health outcomes. For young cats, expect that free play alone will not provide sufficient activity and stimulation. Scheduled interactive play is not optional for young cats, but essential for physical and mental well-being. For elderly cats, the emphasis shifts from intensive scheduled play to gentle activity options that the cat tolerates comfortably. Free play with low-demand toys and the cat's self-regulating intensity becomes more appropriate than pushing intensive activity. If your cat shows weight gain, sedentary behavior, or behavioral problems including destructive behavior or excessive vocalization, add scheduled interactive play to the routine. The improvement in weight, activity level, and behavior is often dramatic when activity increases from free play alone to free play, supplemented with regular interactive sessions. Match the play approach and schedule to your available time and your cat's individual needs, rather than adopting a universal formula. Some cats thrive with twice-daily play sessions, some do well with single daily sessions, and some maintain adequate health with free play access alone. Observe your cat's response and adjust accordingly. Comparison 6. Natural light exposure versus artificial lighting only. The light environment that indoor cats experience throughout their day determines their circadian rhythm alignment, influences their behavioral patterns and activity timing, affects their mood and stress levels, and may influence their physical health through vitamin D synthesis and light-dependent physiological processes. The natural light approach prioritizes window access, outdoor viewing, and exposure to natural daylight cycles, so cats experience the full spectrum of natural light and the changing intensity patterns that occur with sunrise and sunset throughout the day. The artificial lighting only approach relies entirely on human-controlled artificial lighting, without access to natural daylight, simplifying environmental management and providing complete owner control over light timing and intensity. This comparison examines what natural light provides, what artificial lighting alone provides, how circadian rhythm disruption affects cat behavior and health, what the practical considerations are for maintaining natural light exposure, and how to balance light exposure with other environmental factors. Let's start with natural light exposure and what it provides. Natural light access means the cat has regular exposure to sunlight through windows or outdoor spaces, experiences the natural changing intensity of light throughout the day as the sun moves, is exposed to the full spectrum of natural light wavelengths, and is subject to the natural circadian rhythm that aligns with sunrise and sunset cycles. The circadian rhythm benefit is the most significant advantage of natural light exposure. Circadian rhythms are biological cycles that regulate sleep-wake patterns, hormone secretion, body temperature, and many physiological processes. These rhythms are entrained by light exposure, particularly by the natural intensity changes that occur with sunrise and sunset. Cats exposed to natural light cycles show more aligned circadian rhythms and more regular sleep-wake patterns compared to cats in artificial light-only environments. The activity pattern alignment that natural light provides includes that cats naturally become more active during the transition times of dawn and dusk when natural light intensity is changing. This aligns with feline evolutionary history, where dawn and dusk were hunting times. Cats in environments with natural light show more activity at these natural times, while cats in constant artificial light show disrupted activity patterns. The mood and stress benefit of natural light exposure includes that light exposure, particularly natural light, influences mood regulation through serotonin production, which is stimulated by light exposure. Cats with regular natural light access show more alert, active behavior, and less stress-related behavioral problems compared to cats in artificial light-only environments. The psychological benefit of light exposure is measurable and substantial. The vitamin D synthesis consideration is that natural sunlight exposure, particularly through windows, may contribute to vitamin D synthesis in skin, though this is less significant for cats than for humans because of their different skin physiology and their reliance on dietary vitamin D rather than synthesis. However, some light-dependent physiological processes occur in cats that benefit from natural light exposure. The behavioral benefit observed in cats with natural light includes that window access and natural light exposure provide visual enrichment through observing outdoor activity, provide natural activity rhythm entrainment, and support more normalized behavioral patterns throughout the day. Cats with windows and natural light show measurably different activity patterns and more normalized behavior compared to cats in artificial light environments. The practical requirement of natural light exposure is that cats must have access to windows or outdoor spaces where they can receive natural daylight. In apartments without windows, in interior rooms without window access, or in situations where window coverings are always closed, cats cannot access natural light. The environmental limitation of relying on natural light is that light intensity, duration, and timing vary with season and weather. Winter months bring reduced daylight and different timing compared to summer. Cloudy days provide less intense light. The owner cannot control these variables if relying entirely on natural light. Now let's examine artificial lighting-only environments and what they involve. Artificial lighting only means the cat's entire light environment is provided through human-controlled artificial light sources, including overhead lights, lamps, or specialized pet lighting. The cat does not have window access or outdoor light exposure, and all light exposure is artificially provided by the owner. The control advantage of artificial lighting is that the owner determines when light is on or off, what intensity is provided, what spectrum of light is used, and can create consistent lighting conditions regardless of weather, season, or time of day. This allows owners to establish predictable, consistent light schedules. The practical advantage in environments without natural light access is that artificial lighting is the only option. In interior apartments without windows, in basements, or in rooms designed without windows, artificial lighting is essential for visibility and functioning. The circadian disruption risk of artificial lighting only is substantial, because most artificial household lighting does not fully replicate the intensity changes and spectrum of natural light. Cats in constant artificial light or in artificial light that does not cycle through brightness changes experience disrupted circadian rhythms. The disruption can lead to irregular sleep-wake patterns, altered activity timing, and associated behavioral and health problems. The behavioral problems associated with circadian disruption include that cats may show nocturnal behavior patterns even in artificial light environments designed for diurnal, daytime living, because the light environment does not entrain their circadian rhythm appropriately. Hyperactivity at night, lethargy during the day, and behavioral problems including aggression or destructive behavior can result from circadian disruption. The light spectrum consideration is that natural light provides full spectrum light with wavelengths across the visible spectrum and into ultraviolet and infrared ranges, while most artificial lighting provides limited spectrum. Full-spectrum artificial lights are available and can partially compensate for natural light absence, but they do not fully replicate the complexity of natural light. The seasonal disruption from artificial light only is that cats, in environments without natural light exposure, miss the natural seasonal variations in daylight duration and intensity that influence physiology and behavior. The lack of seasonal cues can disrupt reproductive cycles, activity patterns, and behavioral regulation tied to seasonal changes. Let's address the circadian rhythm importance specifically. Circadian rhythm disruption from artificial light-only environments can lead to sleep pattern disruption, where cats do not achieve the deep sleep necessary for physical restoration, may show behavioral changes, including increased anxiety or aggression, may show metabolic changes affecting weight and health, and may show reduced immune function from circadian misalignment. The disruption is not always obvious but accumulates over time. The light intensity timing is crucial because what matters for circadian rhythm entrainment is not just light exposure, but the changing intensity throughout the day. The bright, intense light of sunrise, the moderate light of midday, and the dimming light of sunset all signal circadian phase to the brain. Constant artificial light at one intensity does not provide these cues and allows circadian drift. The remedy for artificial light environments includes using full-spectrum artificial lights if possible, using lights with adjustable intensity that can simulate the natural brightening in morning and dimming in evening, using automatic timers to create consistent light cycles, and accepting that artificial light-only environments create some circadian disruption that cannot be fully compensated for through artificial means alone. Let's examine the practical balance between natural and artificial light. Optimal light environment combines natural light exposure through windows during daylight hours, supplemented by artificial lighting for darkness hours and for indoor spaces without window access. This provides circadian rhythm benefits of natural light while allowing full home access through artificial lighting of interior spaces. Window access priority is that if natural light access is a choice, prioritizing window access for at least part of the cat's living space supports circadian rhythm entrainment and provides behavioral benefits. Even limited window access is better than none. Interior space lighting for spaces without windows should use full spectrum or near natural spectrum lighting if possible, and should vary intensity through the day if possible to simulate natural light changes rather than constant intensity artificial light. Seasonal adjustment consideration includes acknowledging that artificial light cannot fully compensate for seasonal variation in natural light, and that accepting some seasonal variation in activity and behavior is normal rather than trying to maintain constant lighting year-round. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Natural light emphasis is appropriate when the living space has adequate window access. The owner can prioritize window access for the cat. The location has reasonable seasonal light variation. Supporting normal circadian rhythm is a priority. Artificial lighting emphasis is necessary when the living space lacks windows or natural light access. The environment is interior, with no outdoor exposure possible. The owner cannot modify the environment to add windows. Safety or privacy concerns require covering windows. Combined approach is optimal whenever natural light access is possible, while accepting artificial lighting for supplement and for interior spaces. The verdict: natural light exposure provides superior circadian, rhythm entrainment, behavioral normalization, and stress reduction compared to artificial lighting only, and should be prioritized whenever possible. Artificial lighting only creates circadian disruption that can affect behavior, sleep patterns, and stress levels, but is necessary in environments where natural light access is not possible. The optimal approach combines natural light exposure through windows with supplementary artificial lighting that is full spectrum when possible and varies in intensity to approximate natural light changes. If your cat has access to windows, prioritize that access. Window exposure, even through glass with some UV filtering, provides meaningful circadian entrainment benefits that artificial light cannot fully replicate. If your living situation does not allow natural light access, invest in full-spectrum artificial lighting and use adjustable timers to vary light intensity throughout the day if possible. Accept that some circadian disruption may occur, but mitigate it through lighting quality and variation. Never keep artificial lights on constantly at full intensity. At minimum, establish a light-dark cycle that approximates a natural day-night pattern, even if the light intensity does not fully match natural light. The circadian rhythm entrainment requires both light and darkness, not just continuous light. If your cat shows behavioral problems including nighttime hyperactivity, lethargy during the day, or stress-related behaviors, evaluate whether circadian disruption from inadequate light exposure or artificial light-only environment may be contributing. Improving light exposure to include natural daylight or improving artificial lighting quality may improve behavioral outcomes. Window access serves double duty as both light exposure and visual enrichment through bird watching and outdoor observation. Prioritize windows not just for light, but also for the enrichment and mental stimulation they provide through outdoor viewing. The light environment's effect on cats is often overlooked in discussions of cat care, but circadian rhythm and light exposure affect behavior, stress, sleep quality, and overall health significantly. Thoughtful attention to light environment is investment in your cat's physical and mental well-being. Comparison 7. Quiet retreat space versus open living layout. Stress and territory. The physical layout of a cat's living environment determines whether the cat has access to private, contained spaces where they can retreat from activity and stimulation, or whether the cat is continuously exposed to the open living environment where activity occurs and escape is limited. The quiet retreat space approach involves creating designated private areas, including closets, enclosed spaces, boxes, cat caves, or separate rooms, where the cat can withdraw from household activity, experience reduced sensory stimulation, and escape from stressors including human activity, other cats, or environmental noise. The open living layout approach prioritizes uncluttered open spaces, minimizes obstacles and enclosed areas, and creates an environment where the cat is continuously visible and accessible, with minimal opportunity for retreat or privacy. This comparison examines why retreat spaces matter for cat stress and well-being. What happens behaviorally and physiologically when cats lack escape routes, how to balance open layout preferences with cats' need for private space, and how to implement retreat space within modern living aesthetics. Let's start with quiet retreat spaces and what they provide. Quiet retreat spaces are designated areas that are enclosed, private, reduced in sensory stimulation, and accessible to the cat for voluntary withdrawal. These can be closets with cat beds, closed-off rooms, cat caves, or enclosed cat furniture, boxes on shelves, or any contained space that provides privacy and separation from the open environment. The stress reduction benefit of retreat spaces is substantial and measurable. Cats with access to private spaces show lower stress indicators, including lower cortisol levels in stress studies, show less stress-related behavior, including hiding and anxiety displays, show more normalized sleep patterns, and show reduced stress-related illnesses compared to cats without retreat space access. The availability of escape routes and private space reduces chronic stress significantly. The territory subdivision that retreat spaces provide is important particularly in multi-cat households or busy households with multiple humans. Cats occupying the same space benefit from being able to occupy different areas simultaneously, reducing forced proximity and territory conflict. Multiple retreat spaces allow multiple cats to have private areas without competing for the same hidden space. The overstimulation prevention that retreat spaces support includes that cats who experience sensory overload from household activity, noise, or environmental stimulation can withdraw to quiet space to recover. Homes with children, dogs, or frequent visitors create ongoing sensory stimulation that cats cannot always handle, and access to quiet space allows them to escape when overstimulated. The predictability support of having a known safe space is important for anxious cats. The retreat space becomes a reliable sanctuary where the cat knows they are safe, can relax, and can control their exposure to the broader environment. This predictability reduces anxiety more effectively than trying to manage the broader environment. The hiding behavior consideration is that cats naturally hide when stressed, afraid, or unwell. Rather than trying to prevent hiding or viewing it as a behavioral problem, providing designated retreat spaces redirects the hiding behavior into spaces the owner has created. This allows the cat to fulfill their need for hiding while remaining accessible to the owner for observation and care. The practical requirement of retreat spaces is that they must be genuine spaces where the cat can fully withdraw. A corner is not adequate retreat space. An actual enclosed or semi-enclosed area where the cat is not visible or fully exposed is necessary for stress reduction. Now let's examine open living layout and what it provides. Open living layout means minimal enclosed spaces, open flow between areas, minimal furniture creating obstacles or hiding spots, and design that prioritizes uncluttered open space where the cat is continuously visible and accessible. This style is popular in modern design and home aesthetics. The monitoring advantage of open layouts is that the owner can continuously see the cat, monitor activity easily, and maintain visual contact. For owners concerned about the cat's safety or those who wish to observe their cat constantly, open layouts facilitate this continuous monitoring. The cleaning advantage is that fewer enclosed spaces means easier access for vacuuming, cleaning, and maintenance. No boxes to work around, no closet corners to access, no furniture with enclosed spaces that accumulate dust and cat hair. The aesthetic advantage for owners who value clean, modern, minimalist design is that open layouts present fewer visual obstacles and create the sense of spaciousness and uncluttered design that appeals to some owners. The stress disadvantage of open layouts is that cats lack escape routes and private space. Every household activity, every visitor, every sound and movement occurs in the open where the cat cannot withdraw. This creates chronic exposure and continuous low-level stress that accumulates over time. The behavioral problems associated with chronic stress from lack of retreat space include increased anxiety behaviors, including excessive hiding, even in inappropriate places, increased aggression or irritability, stress-related health problems, including urinary issues and gastrointestinal problems, increased vocalization, and changes in normal behavior patterns. The chronic stress of unavoidable exposure takes measurable health and behavioral tolls. The forced proximity problem in open layouts means that cats forced to occupy the same visible space continuously may have greater inter-cat conflict, stress from inability to separate, and territorial tension that retreat spaces would reduce. Even cats who are not actively fighting experience stress from forced continuous proximity. The sensory overload risk of open layouts is high for cats in busy households, households with children or dogs, or homes with frequent visitors. The cat cannot escape sensory stimulation and experiences ongoing overstimulation that they cannot control or avoid. Let's address the stress physiology of retreat space access. Chronic stress from lack of escape routes activates the sympathetic nervous system, maintaining elevated stress hormone levels, including cortisol and adrenaline. This chronic activation causes immune suppression, increases inflammatory markers, affects sleep quality, and contributes to stress-related illness, including urinary tract problems, gastrointestinal issues, and behavioral changes. The recovery benefit of retreat space access is that cats can withdraw to spaces where stress-activating stimuli are reduced, allowing the parasympathetic nervous system to activate and stress hormone levels to decrease. Even brief periods of retreat reduce accumulated stress substantially. The behavioral observation shows that cats with retreat spaces use them extensively when stressed, showing clear preference for private space during household activity, busy times, or periods of overstimulation. The cat's own behavior indicates how valuable retreat space is. Let's examine the practical balance between retreat space and open layout. Compromise approach that balances aesthetics with cat needs includes using modern enclosed cat furniture that provides retreat space while maintaining design aesthetic, using decorative screens or room dividers to create semi-enclosed spaces without walls, using cat furniture that doubles as design elements, creating low-profile retreat spaces that do not disrupt visual flow while remaining functional for cats, and accepting some boxes and enclosed spaces as necessary compromise. Closet or cabinet modification involves designating a closet or low cabinet space as the cat's retreat area, including comfortable bedding, and accepting that this space serves the cat's well-being even if it affects design aesthetics. Bedroom or bathroom access provides natural retreat space, as most cats enjoy having a bedroom or bathroom available as private space, separate from main living areas. Multiple small retreat spaces distributed throughout the home allows cats to access nearby retreat space from any location, rather than requiring them to travel to a single distant retreat area. The integration principle is that retreat spaces can coexist with open layout design through thoughtful placement and choice of retreat space elements that serve both functions. The goal is not necessarily sacrificing all design aesthetics, but compromising in ways that support cat well-being. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Quiet retreat space priority is important when the household includes children or activity level is high. Multiple cats share the space, creating territory concerns. The cat shows anxiety, fearfulness, or stress-related behaviors. The household includes other pets, creating ongoing stress. Frequent visitors or entertaining occurs. The cat is elderly or has health issues that stress aggravates. Open layout is acceptable when the household is very quiet with minimal activity and stimulation. The cat shows minimal anxiety or stress-related behaviors. The space includes no other pets or stressors. The owner has reliable ways to monitor the cat's well-being. The specific cat demonstrates preference for open space and shows no stress. The verdict: quiet retreat spaces significantly reduce stress and support behavioral and health well-being, compared to open layouts where cats lack escape routes and private space. Open layouts create chronic stress and increase risk of stress-related behavioral and health problems, despite providing convenience for human aesthetics and monitoring. The compromise approach, providing some retreat space while maintaining open layout design, is optimal for most situations. The retreat space does not need to be elaborate or aesthetically prominent to be effective. Even simple boxes, closets with beds, or semi-enclosed spaces provide meaningful stress reduction. Never sacrifice all private space in pursuit of open layout aesthetics. The cost to your cat's stress and well-being is higher than the aesthetic benefit to the owner. If your cat shows anxiety, stress-related behaviors, or health problems, evaluate whether adequate retreat space is available. Often adding designated retreat areas improves behavior and health significantly, even when other variables remain unchanged. In multi-cat households, providing multiple retreat spaces reduces territorial conflict and stress for all cats. One space per cat plus extra allows each cat to have private area without competition. For busy households or households with children, prioritize retreat space. Cats in these environments experience high baseline stress, and access to escape routes and quiet space becomes essential rather than optional. If you value open layout design, invest in retreat space furniture that serves both functions, such as modern enclosed cat trees, decorative cave structures, or integrated furniture pieces that provide retreat space while maintaining design aesthetic. The goal is not either or, but both and, except that having a cat in your home means some compromise to pure open layout design. The cat's mental health and stress levels are more important than achieving perfect minimalist aesthetics. A cat with adequate retreat space is calmer, healthier, and shows fewer behavioral problems than a cat in perfect open design with no escape routes. Monitor your cat's stress indicators and adjust the environment if needed. If your cat is showing anxiety, hiding excessively in inappropriate places, or showing stress-related health problems, adding retreat space is a simple intervention that often produces significant improvement in well-being. Comparison 8. Rotating toys versus static toy collection, novelty and engagement. The toy management approach that owners use determines whether cats experience novelty and sustained engagement with their play items, or whether cats experience habituation to a static, unchanging toy collection that loses enrichment value over time. The rotating toy approach involves maintaining a larger collection of toys, but making only a subset available at any given time, rotating which toys are accessible on a regular schedule. So cats frequently encounter toys that feel new, and removing toys from circulation temporarily to reset their novelty value. The static toy collection approach involves making all available toys constantly accessible, so cats can choose from a full range of options at all times, requiring no rotation planning or management. This comparison examines how habituation affects toy engagement, what the enrichment value is of novelty rotation versus static collections, what the practical requirements are for toy rotation, how to implement rotation systems efficiently, and when rotating versus static approaches is most appropriate. Let's start with rotating toy systems and what they provide. Rotating toy systems involve acquiring a larger toy collection than would be present at any one time, dividing the collection into groups or subsets, making one group available while storing the others, and then rotating which toys are available on a regular schedule, such as weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly rotation. The novelty benefit of toy rotation is that cats returning to toys after a period of storage perceive them as novel again, even though the toys are identical to ones they previously played with. The time gap allows habituation to fade and interest to return. A toy that was ignored after weeks of constant presence becomes interesting again after being absent and then reintroduced. The engagement measurement in toy rotation studies shows that cats show higher play engagement with toys early in the introduction period. When the toy is novel, show reduced engagement as habituation occurs and the toy becomes familiar, and show renewed engagement when the toy is rotated back after being absent. The engagement level with a rotating toy system produces more active play overall than a static collection, where engagement steadily decreases from initial introduction. The cost efficiency of rotation is that fewer toys are continuously visible and maintained, creating the impression of smaller collection, while actually providing more variety through rotation. A collection of 12 toys with 4 available at a time appears minimalist while providing novelty through rotation versus accumulating 12 toys all constantly available. The storage requirement of rotating systems is that toys must be stored when not in rotation. This requires storage space for the toys not currently available and requires organization system to track which toys are available when. The planning requirement includes maintaining a rotation schedule, remembering to rotate toys on schedule, and managing the process of removing and reintroducing toys. For owners who lack time or motivation for this management, rotation systems create burden. The implementation flexibility of rotation allows customization based on individual cat preferences. Toys that a specific cat ignores can be rotated less frequently or kept in storage. Toys that the cat particularly enjoys can be rotated more frequently to maintain engagement. The multi-cat consideration is that rotation in multi-cat households helps prevent conflict over toys. Rotating smaller numbers of toys reduces territorial guarding compared to large collection where multiple cats compete for access. Now let's examine static toy collections and what they provide. Static toy collections mean all toys are continuously available without rotation. The cat can access any toy at any time, choose based on interest or mood, and engage with toys without waiting for specific rotations. The access freedom of static collections is that cats are not limited by rotation scheduling and can engage with toys whenever motivation strikes. No waiting for a specific toy to become available. No need to plan toy access around schedules. The management simplicity of static collections is that owners do not need to manage rotation, do not need storage space for toys not in use, and do not need to remember rotation schedules. All toys are permanently accessible, requiring no active management. The habituation problem is the significant disadvantage of static collections. Cats experience habituation to constantly available toys, meaning interest decreases over time even if the toy is still present. A mouse toy that was engaging initially becomes boring through constant exposure. As interest decreases, the cat engages less frequently and for shorter periods, reducing the enrichment value the toy provides. The engagement decline in static collections shows measurably higher play in initial introduction period that steadily decreases as habituation occurs. After weeks or months, many toys in a static collection are ignored entirely because habituation has made them uninteresting despite their continued availability. The accumulation problem that often accompanies static collections is that owners continuously acquire new toys to provide novelty, resulting in accumulation of large numbers of toys, many of which are regularly ignored due to habituation. The collection grows continuously because rotation is not used to maintain novelty of existing toys. The clutter concern is that static collections of toys create visual clutter as toys accumulate and are continuously available. Owners may find the visual abundance of toys unattractive and distracting in their living space. The quality concern with static collections is that when toys are constantly available, damage and wear occurs faster. Toys accumulate wear marks, lose novelty value in appearance as well as through habituation, and may require frequent replacement. Let's address the habituation concept specifically. Habituation is the psychological process where repeated exposure to a stimulus causes decreasing response to that stimulus. The cat encounters the mouse toy repeatedly, initially shows intense play engagement, but as the stimulus becomes familiar and predictable, the brain processes it less intensively, and the cat shows less engagement over time. This is normal learning process, not a problem with the toy itself. The novelty reset through rotation works because absence followed by reintroduction resets the habituation process. The toy is still the same object, but after weeks of absence, the brain no longer has recent experience with it and treats it as somewhat novel. The engagement level increases again, even though the toy itself is identical. The habituation timeline varies by toy and by cat, but typically shows that a novel toy engages the cat intensely in the first few days to weeks, shows decreased engagement after 2 to 4 weeks of constant availability, and shows minimal engagement after several months of static presence. The habituation process is predictable and measurable. The novelty cost of failing to rotate is that enrichment value decreases substantially. A collection of 12 toys, all constantly available, may eventually provide less enrichment than a rotating system with only 4 toys available because habituation has reduced engagement with most of the collection. Let's examine the practical implementation of toy rotation. Simple rotation system involves dividing toys into 2 to 4 groups, making one group available and rotating on a weekly or bi-weekly schedule. The simplicity of this approach makes it practical for most owners. Storage consideration includes designating a closet, bin, or box where toys not in rotation are stored out of sight. The storage removes temptation to leave all toys available and removes visual clutter from toys not currently in rotation. Rotation schedule tracking can use phone calendar reminders, sticky notes, or simply rotating on a fixed day like every Sunday. The key is establishing enough routine that rotation happens consistently. Selective rotation involves keeping favorite toys consistently available while rotating other toys. This allows cats access to toys they prefer while maintaining novelty from rotating other toys. Multi-toy introduction involves introducing toys from different material types and interaction styles rather than bringing back the exact same toy repeatedly. This creates additional novelty beyond simple reintroduction. The observation approach to rotation involves monitoring which toys your specific cat actually engages with and rotating based on demonstrated interest rather than following a fixed schedule. Toys the cat ignores can be removed from the rotation or stored permanently. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Rotating toy systems are appropriate when the owner has time and organization skills for managing rotation. The cat shows clear habituation and reduced engagement with static toys. Space is available for storing toys not in rotation. The owner wants to maintain engagement and enrichment from limited toy collection. Budget is limited, so rotation maximizes value of existing toys. The cat demonstrates strong play interest requiring novelty to maintain engagement. Static collections are appropriate when the owner lacks time or interest in managing rotation. The cat shows high and sustained engagement with constant toy availability. Storage space is not available for rotating toys. The owner does not mind visual clutter and toy accumulation. The cat is elderly or shows minimal play interest regardless of novelty. Multi-cat households where toy availability without rotation reduces conflict. The verdict: rotating toy systems produce higher sustained engagement and better enrichment value compared to static collections, requiring owners to manage rotation but producing better behavioral and enrichment outcomes. Static toy collections are simpler to manage, but typically result in habituation and reduced engagement as cats become familiar with constantly available toys, often requiring continuous toy acquisition to maintain novelty. For most cats, a hybrid approach, combining a core collection of toys that remain constantly available, supplemented by rotating toys, provides optimal balance of engagement and management burden. The core collection provides baseline enrichment, while rotating toys maintain novelty and engagement. If your cat shows strong play interest and has time for management, rotating toys provides measurably better enrichment than static collections. The engagement improvement from introducing toys the cat has not encountered recently is often dramatic. If your cat shows minimal play interest, static collections are simpler to manage without producing worse outcomes, since the cat is not highly engaged, regardless of rotation approach. Never assume that acquiring more toys continuously solves boredom problems. A cat habituated to 20 constantly available toys is often less engaged than a cat with 6 toys rotated every 2 weeks. Rotation maintains novelty more effectively than accumulation. Start with rotating system by dividing existing toys into groups and rotating weekly. If the system is burdensome, simplify to bi-weekly or monthly rotation. The goal is not perfect rotation, but enough novelty maintenance to keep engagement higher than static collections. Monitor your specific cat's engagement and adjust rotation frequency based on behavioral response. Some cats show renewed engagement after 1 week away from a toy, while others need 3 to 4 weeks for habituation to fade. Observe your cat and rotate accordingly. If accumulating toys continuously, stop acquisition and implement rotation instead. The toys you already own provide more enrichment value through rotation than through static availability. Store rotated toys completely out of sight. Visibility of available toys reduces the novelty perception of reintroduced toys. True absence and then reintroduction resets habituation more effectively than partial visibility during storage. The toy rotation decision should be based on your available time and your cat's demonstrated engagement level. If engagement is declining from a static collection, rotation provides meaningful improvement. If management burden is unsustainable, accept static collection and supplement with other enrichment approaches. Comparison 9. Hazard ceiling versus accessible exploration, safety versus freedom. The approach to managing household hazards determines whether cats experience a controlled environment where dangerous items are sealed away and access is restricted to safe spaces, or whether cats have unrestricted access to explore household spaces freely while owners manage risks through supervision and monitoring. The hazard ceiling approach involves identifying potential dangers, including electrical cords, toxic plants, small objects, medications, and hazardous chemicals, then removing, securing, or preventing access to these items so cats cannot encounter them. The accessible exploration approach accepts that cats will investigate household spaces, relies on owner supervision and monitoring to prevent access to the most dangerous items, and allows cats freedom to explore and investigate within the home environment. This comparison examines what household hazards actually pose genuine risks, how to assess which hazards require sealing versus which can be managed through supervision, how to balance safety with environmental freedom, and how to implement hazard management that protects cats without overly restricting their environment. Let's start with hazard sealing and what it provides. Hazard sealing involves systematically identifying potential dangers and then either removing them from the environment, securing them so cats cannot access them, or preventing access through barriers or closed doors. This includes securing electrical cords so they cannot be chewed, removing or protecting toxic plants, storing medications and chemicals in closed cabinets, removing small objects that could be swallowed, securing loose wires, and preventing access to spaces where cats could become trapped. The safety advantage of hazard sealing is that it eliminates or substantially reduces risk of specific injuries or poisonings. A cat cannot electrocute itself on a secured cord, cannot consume a toxic plant that has been removed, cannot swallow a small object that is stored safely. The risk is directly eliminated through removal or securing. The prevention benefit is that sealing prevents problems before they occur rather than requiring response after an incident. A sealed environment requires no emergency interventions, no veterinary emergency visits, no risk of permanent damage or death from preventable hazards. The exploration restriction is the disadvantage of hazard sealing because removing hazards often requires removing interesting items that cats would naturally investigate. The sealed environment becomes more restricted as items are removed or secured, limiting the cat's ability to explore and investigate natural curiosities. The environmental complexity reduction is that sealed environments often become simpler environments because many items that provide environmental interest are also potential hazards. Removing toxic plants removes visual and olfactory enrichment. Securing cords reduces environmental complexity. The drive to eliminate hazards can result in oversimplification of the environment. The maintenance requirement of hazard sealing is that it must be maintained consistently. If a cord is unsecured after being secured, if a closed cabinet is left open, if a new hazard is introduced without securing, the protection is lost. Consistent maintenance is essential. The behavioral restriction is that cats naturally investigate and explore, and sealed environments that prevent this investigation restrict natural behavior. Some cats adapt well to restricted environments, while others show frustration or stress from inability to access areas they want to explore. Now let's examine accessible exploration and what it involves. Accessible exploration means allowing cats to access household spaces and items freely, while managing risk through supervision, monitoring, and active management of the environment. This approach assumes cats will investigate and explore and relies on owner vigilance rather than environmental restriction. The behavioral freedom of accessible exploration is that cats can engage in natural investigation behaviors, can explore and satisfy curiosity, and are not restricted in movement through their living space. Cats with accessible environments show more active exploration, more environmental engagement, and less frustration from restriction. The enrichment benefit is that unrestricted environments provide more enrichment through environmental complexity, access to items that appeal to cats' curiosity, and freedom to investigate. The cat's natural desire to explore is supported rather than restricted. The supervision requirement is that accessible exploration depends on the owner's active supervision and monitoring. The owner must observe the cat's behavior, must prevent access to dangerous items, must respond quickly if the cat begins chewing on a cord or investigating a toxic plant, and must maintain constant vigilance to prevent incidents. The risk acceptance is the critical aspect of accessible exploration. Owners using this approach must accept that without complete hazard sealing, some risk remains. A cat with accessible environment and owner supervision has lower risk than unrestricted roaming, but higher risk than a completely sealed environment. The monitoring challenge is that supervision cannot be constant. When the owner is sleeping, working, or away, the cat's behavior cannot be monitored, and risk increases significantly. Accessible exploration works best in households where owner presence is frequent and supervision is realistic. The incident response requirement is that accessible exploration depends on owner knowledge of what to do if an incident occurs. If a cat ingests a toxic substance, bites a cord, or swallows a small object, quick response and knowledge of appropriate intervention are essential. Let's address the specific household hazards and their risk levels. High-risk hazards requiring sealing include electrical cords that could cause electrocution if chewed medications, and supplements that could cause poisoning if ingested toxic plants, including lilies, sago palms, oleander, and many others that cause serious poisoning. Chemical products including antifreeze, pesticides, and cleaning products that are acutely toxic. Small objects that could cause intestinal blockage if swallowed, strings, yarn, and linear objects that could cause intestinal obstruction if swallowed, open windows or unsecured screens where cats could escape. Spaces where cats could become trapped, including between appliances or in enclosed areas, moderate risk hazards manageable through supervision. Human food items that are not ideal but not acutely toxic unless consumed in large quantities. Household plants that may cause mild gastrointestinal upset if ingested cords and wires that are visible, but less likely to be chewed if supervision is present. Spaces requiring effort to access but not impossible to reach. Low-risk items that do not require sealing. Most household furniture and normal household items. Non-toxic plants. Safe toys and enrichment items. Normal household clutter that does not pose hazard. The risk assessment approach involves honestly evaluating which items pose genuine high-risk hazards requiring sealing, versus which pose manageable risks that can be prevented through supervision. Not every cord requires securing. Not every plant must be removed. Not every item must be sealed away. Let's examine the practical balance between sealing and accessible exploration. Tiered approach to hazard management involves identifying high-risk hazards that require sealing regardless of supervision, managing moderate-risk items through supervision and monitoring, and accepting that some low-risk items remain accessible because sealing everything creates over-restriction. Strategic sealing focuses effort on highest-risk items including medications, toxic plants, and electrical hazards, while accepting that complete hazard elimination is neither possible nor necessary. Supervised exploration involves allowing cats access to most household spaces while maintaining awareness of their activity and responding if they begin investigating truly dangerous items. The situational approach adjusts safety management based on the cat's age, temperament, and demonstrated behavior. A curious young kitten may require more sealing than a calm adult cat with demonstrated good judgment. A cat with history of swallowing objects requires more sealing than a cat with no such history. The behavioral observation of your specific cat helps determine what sealing is actually necessary. A cat who shows no interest in chewing cords does not require every cord to be secured. A cat who ignores plants does not require all plants to be removed. Sealing should match the cat's actual demonstrated risks. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Hazard sealing emphasis is appropriate when the cat is a kitten, with unknown behavior tendencies. The cat has demonstrated history of chewing cords, eating plants, or swallowing objects. The owner has limited supervision availability. The cat shows high curiosity and investigation drive. The home contains numerous high-risk items. The owner prioritizes absolute risk elimination over environmental freedom. Accessible exploration is appropriate when the cat is an adult with established safe behavior patterns. The owner has consistent presence and supervision capability. The home has few high-risk hazards. The cat shows moderate investigation drive without dangerous behavior. The owner values environmental enrichment and behavioral freedom over absolute safety. The owner has knowledge and resources to respond to potential incidents. The verdict hazard ceiling is necessary and appropriate for high-risk items including medications, toxic plants, electrical hazards, and small swallowing hazards regardless of supervision level. Accessible exploration with supervision is appropriate for moderate-risk items and for most household spaces where high-risk hazards have been eliminated. Complete hazard ceiling that restricts all exploration is often excessive and creates unnecessary environmental restriction that reduces enrichment and behavioral freedom without proportional safety benefit. The optimal approach involves sealing high-risk hazards while allowing supervised exploration of other areas, matching the level of restriction to actual demonstrated risks rather than theoretical possibilities. Identify the high-risk items in your home and seal those regardless of your preference for accessible exploration. High-risk sealing is non-negotiable for safety. Medications must be secured, toxic plants must be removed, electrical hazards must be managed. For other items, assess your supervision capability and your specific cat's demonstrated behavior. A cat with no history of eating plants does not require all plants to be removed. A cat with good judgment about cords does not require every cord to be secured. Never seal or restrict exploration without considering whether the restriction is necessary, based on actual risk rather than theoretical possibility. Over-restriction creates stress and reduces enrichment without proportional safety benefit. If your cat has demonstrated specific risky behaviors, including chewing cords, eating plants, or swallowing objects, increase sealing for those specific hazards. The behavior history should guide your sealing decisions, except that complete hazard elimination is neither possible nor necessary. Some low-risk items will remain accessible, some supervisory risk will remain, and this is acceptable as long as high-risk hazards are sealed. Maintain constant vigilance during the period when supervision is possible, actively observing your cat's behavior and responding if they begin investigating hazardous items is more effective than setting up perfect sealing and assuming no risk remains. If your work schedule or lifestyle does not allow adequate supervision, increase sealing to compensate. The less supervision you can provide, the more sealing becomes necessary as backup protection. The hazard management decision should be based on your home's actual hazards, your cat's demonstrated behavior, your supervision capability, and honest assessment of risk tolerance. Perfect safety is not achievable or necessary. Reasonable safety through targeted sealing of high-risk items and reasonable supervision of other areas is the practical goal. Comparison 10. Window bird watching versus cat TV versus combination enrichment. Outdoor simulation. When outdoor access through Catios or leash training is not available or not desired, indoor cats require environmental enrichment that substitutes for outdoor stimulation and that provides the visual, auditory, and mental engagement that outdoor exploration would provide. The window bird watching approach prioritizes real outdoor observation through windows with bird feeders outside, creating authentic wildlife viewing and stimulation from real outdoor activity. The Cat TV approach uses screens and videos, including recorded bird footage, moving animals, and nature scenes, to provide visual stimulation without requiring outdoor window access. The combination enrichment approach uses multiple simulation methods, including windows, videos, climbing structures, interactive toys, and environmental complexity to collectively simulate outdoor enrichment rather than relying on single approach. This comparison examines what each outdoor simulation approach provides, what the actual enrichment value is compared to real outdoor access, how to implement each approach effectively, and how to choose or combine approaches to maximize enrichment for indoor-only cats. Let's start with window bird watching and what it provides. Window bird watching involves positioning bird feeders or bird baths outside windows where the cat can view them from inside, ensuring the window is accessible and unobstructed so the cat can see clearly, and maintaining the feeders to attract birds and provide consistent activity for the cat to observe. The authenticity advantage of real bird watching is that the cats are observing genuine wildlife with unpredictable movements, real environmental sounds, including bird calls and movement sounds, and genuine predatory stimulation through observing prey-like creatures without ability to catch them. The authenticity of the stimulus is higher than recorded videos. The behavioral engagement from window bird watching is measurably high. Cats spend extended periods at windows watching bird activity, show intense focused attention, and engage in chattering vocalizations and predatory behavior expression while watching. The engagement level is substantial and demonstrates that bird watching provides meaningful enrichment. The cognitive stimulation of bird watching includes that the unpredictable nature of real birds provides ongoing novelty that recorded videos cannot match. Every bird has different movement pattern, size, color, and behavior. The environmental complexity of real bird watching maintains engagement better than static videos. The practical requirements include positioning feeders in view of windows, maintaining feeders with fresh food and clean water, managing squirrels and other animals that compete with birds for feeder access, and accepting that bird activity varies seasonally and with weather. Winter in cold climates may have reduced bird activity compared to other seasons. The window access requirement is that the cat must have unobstructed clear window access. Covered windows, opaque glass, or windows the cat cannot reach do not allow bird watching. In interior apartments without windows or in situations where windows are not accessible, bird watching is not possible. The sound advantage is that real bird watching includes authentic environmental sounds, including birds, vocalizing, wing flapping, and movement sounds that recorded videos may not replicate fully. The auditory enrichment supplements the visual enrichment. The duration sustainability is that many cats remain engaged with bird watching for extended periods throughout the day, as long as bird activity is occurring. Window access becomes a preferred resting and observation location for many cats. Now let's examine cat TV and video enrichment. Cat TV refers to videos designed for cats featuring birds in flight, squirrels moving, fish swimming, or other animal footage shot from perspectives and at speeds that engage cats' visual tracking. These videos are made specifically for cat viewing and are optimized for cat visual preferences and predatory engagement. The accessibility advantage is that Cat TV requires only a screen and video content, accessible anywhere, including apartments without windows, interior rooms, or situations where window access is not available. Any cat can access Cat TV regardless of living situation. The convenience advantage is that Cat TV operates on owner control. The owner can play videos whenever desired, can choose content based on the cat's preferences, and can control duration. No weather dependency, no seasonal variation, no bird feeder maintenance required. The engagement level varies substantially depending on the video quality and the cat's interest. High-quality videos with realistic movement patterns, appropriate speed, and interesting subjects can engage cats measurably. Low-quality videos with unrealistic movement or uninteresting content may fail to engage. The habituation problem is that even the best cat TV loses novelty value as the cat becomes habituated to the specific videos. After repeated viewing, the predictability of the recorded movement reduces engagement compared to novel viewing. Unlike real bird watching, where every bird is different, recorded videos repeat the same sequences. The screen interaction consideration is that some cats attempt to interact with the screen by reaching toward it or trying to catch animals on screen. This is normal predatory response, but the cat cannot actually interact with the screen content, creating potential frustration if not managed. The audio component is that recorded bird sounds are authentic but lack the real-time responsiveness of actual birds. The sounds are predetermined and repeat, rather than dynamically responding to the cat's presence or environment. The engagement sustainability is that many cats show high initial interest in cat TV, but the interest decreases as habituation occurs. Unlike birdwatching, where novelty is continuous, cat TV novelty decreases with repeated viewing of the same content. Let's examine combination enrichment approach. Combination enrichment involves using multiple enrichment methods simultaneously, including window access for bird watching when available, supplemented by cat TV for times when window viewing is not possible, vertical climbing structures that simulate outdoor climbing, interactive play sessions that provide predatory expression, puzzle feeders that simulate foraging, environmental complexity, and rotating toys. The combination approach does not rely on any single enrichment method, but uses multiple methods in concert. The resilience advantage of combination approach is that if one enrichment method is unavailable, others compensate. If weather prevents bird activity at the window, cat TV provides substitute stimulation. If the cat loses interest in videos, climbing and interactive play provide engagement. The multiple methods create redundancy. The comprehensive stimulation from combination approach addresses multiple enrichment needs simultaneously. Birdwatching provides visual predatory stimulation. Interactive play provides physical activity. Climbing provides environmental navigation and exercise. Foraging toys provide problem solving. Engagement. Together, they provide multifaceted enrichment. The individual preference matching is that different cats respond to different enrichment types. A cat uninterested in cat TV might be highly engaged with climbing and interactive play. A cat with limited climbing ability might be very engaged with bird watching. Combination approach allows emphasis on what works for the specific cat. The management requirement is that combination approach requires more owner involvement and planning than single method approaches. Window access must be maintained. Videos must be rotated to prevent habituation. Climbing structures must be available. Interactive play must be scheduled. The time investment is higher. The practical balance in combination approach involves establishing baseline enrichment, including consistent bird watching if windows are available, supplementing with cat TV or other enrichment if needed, providing interactive play regularly, and maintaining environmental complexity. This creates multifaceted enrichment that addresses various needs. Let's examine the effectiveness comparison specifically. Bird watching enrichment value is highest when bird activity is consistent, windows are accessible, and the cat shows strong interest. The engagement level is typically high and sustained. The limitation is weather and seasonal dependency. Cat TV enrichment value is initially high but decreases with habituation. The videos provide accessibility where windows are not available. The limitation is predictability and habituation, reducing engagement. Combination approach enrichment value is consistently high because multiple methods prevent over-reliance on any single approach and allow rotation to maintain novelty. The limitation is requiring more owner effort. Let's examine which approach is appropriate for different situations. Window bird watching is appropriate when the cat has access to windows in good condition. The living location has adequate bird populations. The owner can maintain bird feeders. The cat shows strong interest in bird watching. Other enrichment methods supplement bird watching. Cat TV is appropriate when window access is not available. The cat shows engagement with video content. Owner has access to quality cat TV videos. Videos are rotated to prevent habituation. Cat TV supplements other enrichment methods. Combination enrichment is appropriate when the goal is maximum enrichment and engagement. The owner has time for multiple enrichment methods. Indoor only without outdoor access is the reality. Multiple enrichment types available. Matching. Enrichment to individual cat preferences is prioritized. The verdict window bird watching provides superior authentic enrichment for cats with window access, engaging genuine predatory and observational interests through real wildlife viewing. Cat TV provides accessible enrichment for cats without window access, or during times window watching is not possible, though habituation eventually reduces effectiveness without rotation and supplementation. Combination enrichment approach using multiple simulation methods provides the most consistent high engagement and addresses the reality that indoor-only cats need diverse enrichment rather than reliance on single method. If you have window access, maximize it through bird feeders and clean, accessible windows. Real bird watching is superior enrichment to any simulated alternative. If you lack window access or want to supplement bird watching, Cat TV can provide additional enrichment, but rotate videos and supplement with other enrichment to prevent habituation. For best results, use multiple enrichment methods in combination. Real bird watching when available, supplemented by videos when beneficial, with regular interactive play, climbing structures, puzzle toys, and environmental complexity, providing multifaceted enrichment. Never rely solely on one enrichment method for indoor-only cats. The combination approach addresses diverse enrichment needs and prevents over-dependence on any single stimulus. For cats, showing diminishing interest in any single enrichment, add or rotate different enrichment types rather than assuming the cat is uninterested in enrichment. Different cats respond to different stimuli, and combination approaches allow finding what works for your specific cat. The investment in diverse enrichment for indoor-only cats is investment in their physical health, mental, well-being, and behavioral appropriateness. Indoor cats without adequate enrichment show behavioral problems and health issues that enrichment can prevent. Outdoor access through Catios or leash training remains the highest enrichment option for cats who can tolerate it, but for indoor-only cats, thoughtful combination of bird watching, videos, climbing, play, and environmental complexity creates engagement approaching what outdoor access would provide. Closing. So there you have it, 10 fundamental environment and enrichment decisions that determine whether your indoor cat lives in a space optimized for their well-being or in a default environment that tolerates your cat rather than supporting your cat. The environmental design you choose affects your cat's stress levels, behavioral patterns, physical health, and quality of life more measurably than almost any other category of decisions we have discussed. Let's recap what we have covered in this part and what the overarching principles are that connect all of these decisions together. The first principle is that cats have specific environmental needs that are different from human needs. We design our homes for human living, and cats are forced to adapt to that design. But when we take time to consider what cats actually need from their environment, including vertical space, private retreat areas, access to natural light, and enrichment appropriate to their personality and activity level, we can design spaces that work for both cats and humans. The second principle is that environment is not one size fits all. The perfect environment for a young, active cat with high play drive is different from the perfect environment for an elderly cat or for a fearful, anxious cat. The environment that works in a tiny apartment is different from the environment that works in a large house. Rather than following rules about what environments should look like, observe your specific cat and design the environment that your specific cat actually needs. The third principle is that enrichment is investment, not burden. Yes, providing vertical space costs money and takes space. Yes, rotating toys requires planning. Yes, managing multiple cats requires environmental complexity. But the investment in thoughtful environmental design pays dividends in reduced behavioral problems, better health, reduced stress, and improved bond with your cat. The cost of enrichment is lower than the cost of managing behavioral problems and stress-related illness that result from impoverished environments. The fourth principle is that environmental decisions interact with each other. The outdoor access decision affects how much indoor enrichment is necessary. The enrichment level decision affects play session requirements. The multi-cat decision affects vertical space requirements. Rather than making these decisions in isolation, consider how they work together to create a complete environmental picture for your cat. Now, as we move forward in this series, we are transitioning from environmental and physical space decisions into decisions about your cat's health, medical care, and end-of-life management. Part 9 covers medical decisions and health management, including vaccination protocols, dental care, blood work timing, pain management, and how to approach your cat's aging and eventual end-of-life care. These decisions are among the most important you will make because they directly affect your cat's lifespan, quality of life during illness or aging, and the dignity and peace of your cat's final days. Part 10 covers multi-cat complexity and special situations, including managing multiple cats with different needs, managing cats with medical conditions, and managing situations where cats and owners have mismatched needs or expectations. These are the nuanced situations where the decisions become more complex because there are competing needs and imperfect solutions. Together, Parts 8 through 10 complete the foundational decision framework that determines the quality of your cat's life from the moment they enter your home until the moment they leave it. Before we move forward to Part 9, I want to emphasize that the environment you create for your cat is a reflection of your commitment to understanding and honoring their nature. Your cat is not a person, not a decoration, not an obligation. Your cat is a living being with specific needs, preferences, and ways of experiencing the world that are different from your experience. When you invest in understanding those differences and designing an environment that supports rather than merely tolerates your cat's existence, you create the foundation for a relationship and a life quality that transforms what it means to be a cat in your home. If you found this part helpful, please click the like button so other cat lovers can find this information. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, so you do not miss parts 9 and 10, where we navigate the most challenging and most important decisions about your cat's health and end-of-life care. And if you found specific comparisons in this part particularly valuable, or if you have questions about your specific environmental situation, leave a comment below. We read every comment, and your questions often become future video topics. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in Part 9.